Hello guys, welcome back to the Beastie Room. We've been asked quite a bit recently about how our emerald roach is getting on, and we've deliberately not actually done a, a recap on these guys because, for one, we've wanted to excuse me, we've wanted to try and make sure that we are reproducing them consistently, and and that appears that we have. You have to excuse me, I got a fly in my throat, I think. Right, sorry about that. Now then, the Pseudoglomeris magnifica. That's such a sexy name. Oh, if I ever come back in another life, I want to be named that. Yeah. Forget Dave, that's just not good enough. I want to be known as Pseudoglomeris magnifica. I think that's absolutely amazing, isn't it? That's like, that's sort of like one of the Roman names, isn't it? You'd imagine a Roman gladiator called like that. Fabulous name. Right, anyway, back to our roaches. What we done was, you'd have remembered, we done a rehousing and we put them in this enclosure here. Now, this enclosure was actually designed for dart frogs and it is escape proof. There's fruit flies and things cannot get out of this, which means that our baby roaches can't get out either, which is an absolute bonus because we had them in a Komodo, and the babies, literally, once they left the mother, they went up into the roof and were out, and we were finding them walking up the walls and things. Now, that in itself is not a big issue. They're not going to colonize your house, unfortunately. They just don't breed like that, and they're not that fast at reproducing either. So it's very important that we actually manage to hold on to our babies. Now, when we put them in here, we find, bless you, we when we put them in here, we found that the females, they carry the babies underneath. So when you see them up on the glass, you'll see all the babies underneath them in their legs, and they carry them around like this, and they're very slow producing compared to, say, like a red runner or a dubia roach. These guys just don't produce that fast. Now, they only have around anything up to about, I think the most we've seen is probably about 14 actually underneath a female, and that was a big female. As you can see them here, if you have a look here, there's one on the glass here. This is a female here. Now, unfortunately, these have got no babies at the moment. She's gone round, hasn't she? If I turn that around, you'll see that there's actually a baby above her as well. And you see how easily they climb up that glass. And this is because they have got like little suckers on their feet. And they can literally stick themselves to just about anything. They are amazing things. Well, what we'll do, now you'll also notice that there's down on the bottom here, you see down here, these are shed skins, and some of them will actually be dead roaches as well. Now, we're not 100% sure of how long the lifespan is of these roaches, but I would assume that adults are living up to a sort of a year, maybe longer, year and a half or so, because our group here is expanding all the time, and we're expanding with large ones. You can see all these large ones here. Beautiful colouring. And they do get about really quick. Now, if we open this up, just open that up very gently, you see there was a small one fell from the roof. Oh dear, terrible cough. Now you can see the colouring on these are absolutely fantastic. Get a bit more light on them. They are absolutely amazing. Now I wonder whether we can probably cheat a little bit. Yeah, this is what they do. They get up in the runner. See, look at that. They're up in the runner. And then that's how they get out. They escape. So we have to be very, very careful. What we're going to do, we're going to lift this piece of wood out, I think. Wonder if we can get to that. I don't think there's any. Right, let's take this piece of wood here. Purely because it's got a good view on it. Now look at that. Don't they look amazing? This one here is a male. She's beautiful. And these are big adult females. These are all babies. This is quite a newborn baby here. See this one here? That's quite a newborn, that little one there. And we have noticed that they actually share the mothering. We've seen young females like this carrying babies, not just the big adults. So he is absolutely gorgeous. I think the males are very, very beautiful. Now, one of the things that we were told when we started with this project was that males were very difficult to get hold of. Now, when you're breeding them like this, we can produce males quite consistently. And obviously, we don't feed these to anything. These are kept as pets. Now, just absolutely awesome things. If I turn this around, see that male there? He's just making a little run for it. I mean, look at them. Look at that. The colouring is just phenomenal. And they are doing so well. Really, really well. Now, we changed the way that we look after them a little bit to how we first researched them. And we ended up with a similar situation that we did with the mossy frogs. We had conflicting views as to how they should be kept and how they, what would be your success at breeding them. And we found we've done a little bit of it sort of in the middle. We've given them this enclosure, which is quite large. There's a good few of them in there. This is just a small sample of what is actually in here. Within that log in there, there's loads of them, and they all sit inside the log, so they're all over the place. And we also kept a big bunch of moss down in here, and what we do is we soak that moss, and that gives us the humidity that we require inside the enclosure, but it keeps the enclosure dry. So we're not actually soaking everything. And then every now and again, we'll spray inside that cork tube. And then that holds moisture as well. And this seems to work really, really well. I mean, they are absolutely fantastic. Look at them. I can sit and watch these all day long. They are such wonderful, wonderful things. And as you can see, they're entirely different to our normal roaches. If this was a dubia or whatever, it would have fell off the log by now and done a runner. If it was a red runner, it would have done exactly as its name suggests, a run for hell. It would have been gone. Hopefully the camera is picking up the colours of these, because they really are fabulous. And it's good to see all these babies. Look at all these babies. They're all under this one young female. Yeah, you see them? They're actually underneath her. Oh, she just squeezed them out. She's like, get off. Very, very interesting. You would have thought it would have been one of the big females that would have been carrying these babies. But that's a very small female. Right. So what we'll do is we're going to plonk this back in. Oh, we've dropped one. Now this is one of the things, is once they actually come off, what they do, as a defense mechanism, they actually flatten themselves to the surface that they're on, i.e. the desk, and you cannot get underneath them. So very, very difficult to pick up. You see how he squashes himself to the desk. I'm trying to get my nail underneath him and I can't. Oh, here we go. Oh, nearly.
Mm-hmm.
You see, once it's on its back, you see how it stops moving? It's just frozen now, almost like it was dead. You see it breathing there. We'll offer it the finger. There we go. So I'm going to try and get him to come back onto the log now. I'll tell you what, spiders are a lot easier. Go on, get on the log. There we go. There we are. Right, so we're going to... Oh, look at this. Go on, get back on there. So we're going to... Right, okay. Right. I'm going to put this back in here now because they're starting to get moving about all over the place. Now what we done was, when we... Right. Cheat, I'm going to use the brush. When we set this up, you'll notice that we've got branches that are leaning all over the place. And this is basically, all of the branches are connected to the food platform. Make sure we haven't got any babies stuck in there. Yep, look at that, there was one in there, look at that. He's gone down in the bottom now. So you'll notice that we've got the food platform in the middle there, and that's where we put all of their grub. And then all of these other branches are all connected so that they all reach down to the food platform. Everything touches that food platform and they get everywhere. I mean, it just makes life a little easier for them. As you can see there, we give them quite a lot of apple, and then inside the little green tub there in the milk bottle lid, that's granules of bee pollen. We give them that as well. Now, when we first started doing these, they wouldn't touch the bee pollen. They didn't like it. And then when we moved them over into this enclosure, we left them for a good month or so, and then we tried them again. And now they actually love the bee pollen. They really, really feed well on it now. And they make a big thing of it. Quite often, there's loads of babies underneath the lid. Yeah, look, there's 3 under there now. You see how they hide underneath the lid. Now we've also found that not only do they like fresh apple, we also let the apple go, fermented. So we let it really decompose on there as well, and they love that. When it's sort of going fermented, it must be the alcoholic content, I think, but they seem to go really well on that. They enjoy it an awful lot. And then we also give them tropical flake fish food as well, which they go a bundle on that. They really like that. And we think that the reason they go so much on the flake fish food is for the protein. Flake fish food has got quite a lot of protein in it, especially the tropical one. So we can, they get an awful lot from that as well. As you can see, they're all down here. They literally cover everything. They're in everywhere, all up here as well. Now you'll see in the base down here, all of these shells of carcasses, and this is where they're molting. So they molt out, and all these shells go down here. And there's a lot of them go in there as well. They'll all be tucked away in there. So, in terms of care, we give them that mixed food. We've tried them with other fruits and things, and they really don't seem to bother too much. Although we have been in contact with a few people that give them quite a lot of mixture of stuff, and theirs do really well. They're quite fussy about what they eat. These guys, they go a bundle on the apple. They like the fish food, and they like the bee pollen now. So we don't bother giving them much else apart from that, really. In terms of temperature, now we got these guys up around about 80 degrees, and as you can see, they are prolific. They breed really, really well. We've now actually got a sustainable colony. I haven't got a clue how many's in there, but there's a good number of them in there now. So we keep them up around about 80 degrees. We keep the actual enclosure itself dry, but we've got a big lump of moss under here, which we soak. And then we also soak this corner as well if needs be. So we can literally just pour water in there or we spray it. And that saturates that moss. And then that in turn then gives us our humidity. But everything else in the enclosure is actually dry, including the food station. We keep it dry. So they're moving around on dry, they've got dry contact everywhere. And we found that even when the moss and everything is wet, they don't tend to go down on it. They stay away from it. So I think it's important that we keep the actual enclosure itself dry. We've not, occasionally in the past, we've sprayed the enclosure and they just seem to all disappear and hide. So I don't think they're that keen on actual physical water. I don't think they like it at all. Probably because in the wild state, they'd probably drown. You know, if they got caught out in a little puddle or something like that, they would possibly drown. So we keep them dry, we keep them warm, and we just make sure that there's always a bit of food on there. And they are fed ad lib. So as soon as the food starts to run down, we replace it with a new bit. And like I said, we don't remove it until it's completely gone. And then all you got is a bit of skin and things like that. Then we take that bit of skin out. We have seen them eating the skin as well. So it's one of them. It doesn't pay to be too clean with them. I think just give them, let them choose, let them have whatever they want. And they do really, really well. Right. Well, now we've got a good prolific thing, and we feel like we've cracked the code in actually breeding these guys. Now we've got a sustainable colony. We will have these available, but they're only in very small numbers. So we won't be moving too many of them. We're going to keep most of them. We still want to build the colony size, but they are very, very cool. Right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little recap. They are fascinating things. And don't forget, be calm, be gentle, and love your spider. And I will see you soon, guys.